The first thought is not the problem. The first arising thought by itself is not so much of a problem, the problem being instigating suffering. The first thought only amounts to one with the further cumulative thinking around it. The thinking subsequent to the first thought that springs is the judgment, the evaluation on top of it, which arises simultaneously with identification with it. While the first thought just is, all subsequent evaluative and identified thoughts are motivated by only one thing: control. Control. If there is control, then this imagined entity me can survive and perpetuate itself. And with this control activity can be birthed the principal sidekick to control, which is addiction. The craving aversion duet of addiction can now take over as the second in command to control, and the egoic framework is now complete, and love is duly obscured. Let's say that a thought arises owing to an engagement of the senses with objects of its perceived environment. It's really hot today. Now, this thought by itself is not a problem. Following this primary thought, however, the evaluative and judgmental thought that arises split seconds later is, it's bad that it's hot. It's going to be uncomfortable. The rising mind continues. The plants and pets will suffer. Building construction of present times just doesn't allow the house to cool even after sunset. Oh my God, and look how climate change is progressing rapidly. And so on and on. Now, along with the feelings of dread, further feeding and fueling these thoughts, quickly the thoughts themselves snowball straight to doomsday. Simultaneously arising with all of this is identification. That is, there is an entity me, and these are my thoughts. And such a me is a victim in the narrative. The body mind is just about to suffer the heat, and all the way to this entity whose children and successors won't have a healthy planet due to humanity's sins. This entity then needs to quickly turn from victim to a victor. The victor is the entity who does all the good stuff, ranging from springing up to making cucumber water to fighting climate change, all via personal agency and doership. The feelings of dread, anxiety, guilt, and shame are triggered, and that parent of all tendencies, remember, control, rises like the demon, followed closely by addiction to those very feelings of shame and dread and anxiety and guilt. In all these together, they fuel the next round of snowballing thought, all in a fantastic vicious cycle. See how quickly suffering mounts? See, the thought, it's hot, by itself, is just a thought, like a harmless little bubble or small wave in water, left alone as a mere sensory label and fed with no more evaluations and judgments and identification of me and mine, and not compounded by those emotions and feelings on top. This little wave or bubble subsides promptly and easefully into its source. The sensory conditions shift in the next moment anyway. Disbelieving the thought, as is often advised, seems far-fetched for the mind. The mind goes, what do you mean? It's not hot? Everything about my body's sensation says it's hot, and I'm supposed to say it's an illusion as the body is not real and I'm not the body and so on? Okay, so there's no need to do any of that. Let it be hot when it's hot. Simply allow that to be so without attaching to any judgments around it. It's that additional judgment and identification that is to be disbelieved, meaning It's not good or bad, and it's not about me. Let's look at some simple illustrations. I'm running late per clock time. It's not good or bad, and it's not about me. Once I get there, I'll be all there. My child is unwell. It's not good or bad, and it's not about me. An independent human being's body is undergoing the workings of nature, and the same nature has the power to heal. Ways to support reveal naturally and execute themselves via me. My work is presently not effective. It's not good or bad, and it's not about me. A phase in learning is cycling right now. The economy is low and tanking. It's not good or bad, and it's not about me. A phase in market dynamics is cycling right now. My partner is upset and angry. It's not good or bad, and it's not about me, even if it appears to be a response to something I said or did and could do differently. An independent human being is figuring something out. Now, ways to respond, support, and transform reveal naturally and execute themselves via me. My team won the contract under my leadership. It's not good or bad, and it's not about me. A resonant match happened with the client. My savings have reached an all-time high. It's not good or bad, and it's not about me. Circumstances were conducive, and things added up nicely and suitably to be this way. My relationship with my parents is going smoothly. It's not good or bad, and it's not about me. A phase in relationship is cycling. My child got into an Ivy League institution. It's not good or bad, and it's not about me. An independent human being had a match happen for them. Ways to support reveal naturally and execute themselves via me. My lover or partner is super connected, intimate, and sweet with me. It's not good or bad, and it's not about me. A phase in relationship is cycling right now. My body is super fit right now. Still, it's not good or bad, and it's not about me. Food, exercise, rest, and play must have found their sweet spot for now. And so on and on. The gratitude is for all of it unconditionally, which means gratitude is not actually for any of it in particular. It is just a way of being regardless. Such a way of being, where it's not good or bad and it's not about me, deactivates the ego identity. And it deactivates its mainstay of fear-driven thinking and thereby suffering. You see, being happy about something is as fear-based as being sad about it. Because being happy for something is a form of appeasing and placating the fear, subconsciously waiting for the other shoe to drop, and therefore being happy only represents the upcycle of the cycle of suffering. This doesn't mean that happiness and sadness are not allowed to happen. They are allowed, just as that first thought is allowed. And it is immediately recognized that underlying these happiness, sadness feelings lies the good-bad evaluative thought. Allowing the feelings to be felt without additional narrative, remember the cumulative thinking, also deflates and eventually deactivates the thoughts underlying them. Once this roller coaster cycle of fear is no longer fed, the love that one is simply dawns, and thereafter blossoms, shines, and radiates. Regardless of thoughts and feelings arising and passing as they do, and until they don't anymore. A note: the word independent in this writing is not used to convey separation or separate entities, but to represent seeing through identification in the form of me and mine. It represents sovereignty. which paradoxically is non separation. Sovereignty is a recognition that just like seen from this seat, seen from that seat too, the one is all there is.